Welcome to 100 Yards Football. Today is our history special. And today I'm going to highlight the 1970 to 1974 Miami Dolphins. So if you like the video this morning, please come in and share it. I'm your host, Vincent Turner. So let me get to talking about the Miami Dolphins. South Miami in the house. South Beach. The second city only to the LA that brings the glamour, the glitz. So when you talk about the Miami Dolphins, you got to talk about that era from 1970 to 1974, and especially the 1972 team. And when you think about the 1972 team, it's very simple. 17-0. 17-0. 17-0. I'm 60 years old. And they're the only team that goes through the regular season undefeated. I thought by now, watching this great game over the years, I thought it'd be somebody that can break that record. The New England Patriots almost did it in 2007. It's very hard on any level, especially when you're talking about football, and especially in the National Football League, to go undefeated. So let's talk about that 72 team first and go back when Don Shula was hired in 1970. The Dolphins was coming off a 3-10-1 record. And you know what was ironic about Don Shula getting hired? Think about this tidbit. He really wasn't the first choice. Check the history books. You know who was the first choice? Roll Tide, Paul the Bear Bryant. But the Bear wasn't ready. But Don Shula said, I'm ready for that smoke. And the first thing he said when he took the job in 1970, I'm not a miracle worker. 1970, they went 10-4. 1971, they went 10-3-1. But it's something happening with that 71 season that changed everything around to know this football team was going to be special. It was Christmas Day. They played the longest game, 83 minutes, against the Kansas City Chiefs and defeated the Super Bowl champions in overtime 27-24. And that what took them into the next season of them having a great season in 1972 and going undefeated. I was watching that game at my grandmother's house with all my uncles, Robert, Opie, all man John Earl, all my cousins, Sam, bless your soul, you in heaven, man. Pig Sue, University of Arkansas. It was on that day. Then I started following the Dolphins at 12 years old, going into that 72 season. They opened up with a win over Cleveland. Then they won 4 in a row. But game 5, they had the only mishap. Bob Greasy got his leg broke against the San Diego Chargers. And everybody said, hey, I don't know, man. We might be a playoff team. But what Don Shula did, he reached back in his books and signed Earl Morrall, who had played with him during the Super Bowl team in 1969 with the Baltimore Colts. And one thing he went with Earl Morrall and Mr. Morrall was this. He was a warrior. Warriors come out to play. He was 38 years old. He was mature. And then he came from a school, Michigan State, that Big Ten. He was a guy that was solid. And you know what happened? Miami changed their whole offense, and they started playing what I call very simple football. It's called, we're going to line up in front of you. We're going to talk smack, and it's going to be strength on strength, life on life, power on power, and we're going to run the football. And that offensive line, I'm going to start with that. Bob Kuchenberg, Norm Evans, Jim Langler, the Bethune-Cookman finest, Larry Little, and then the running backs. Jim Kick, who had 572 yards, one of the best dual backs back then, out of Wyoming. And the great Mercury Morris, out of West Texas State. A lot of people didn't know about Mercury Morris. I knew about it when I was 9 years old because I remember when West Texas State played at the time Memphis State in the Liberty Bowl, and he was in the same backfield with one Dwayne Thomas. So I already knew about Mercury Morris and knew his skill set. And then they had the big bruise out of Syracuse, who's the blocking back for Larry Little, Mr. Larry Zunker. And that team went on rise and run the footballers. Both backs had over 1,000 yards. And then the defense, no-name defense. A lot of people said they had a lot of underachievers, but I don't know about that. Let's start with another dog. Boy, I've been talking about the Georgia Bulldogs all morning. Bill Stanfield was that dude at the defensive end spot. Vernon Herter was that guy. One of the best tackles out of Utah State, Manny Fernandez, who had 17 tackles in the Super Bowl that I'm going to get to. He was a stud. At the time, he was Aaron Donald, before Aaron Donald is in the league right now. And at the linebacker position, Notre Dame's finest, and Nicholas Bonnet-Carney, one of the best football players pound for pound. Then you had Doug Swift, Mike Holland, and then in the secondary, the corners, Curtis Johnson with the fro, Lloyd Mumford, Southern University's finest, and then Dick Anderson, the Colorado Buffalo, and then the best overall player who was most MVP in the 1973 Super Bowl, a guy who I remember coming on the scene in 1968 with a 90-yard punt return to save Georgia against Tennessee on ABC in the opening game of the college season, Jake the Snake Scott. And that defense led the league in points allowed. But the one key statistic that stuck out of my mind about that 72 team, why it was great, they had the ball for 120 minutes. The Dolphins did, and they only trailed for 122 minutes and 51 seconds the whole season. And then you talk about unselfishness. The Super Bowl, Earl Morrall is, remember what I just said, 38 years old, maturity, solid, step down and said, Bob Griese was healthy, it's your team. You take us to the Super Bowl championship. Beat a very good Washington Redskins team that was named Over the Hill, Larry Brown, Billy Kilmer, Mike Bass, Kenny Houston, very good football team. But what happened, the Dolphins defense stepped up real big, only allowed 104 yards passing that day. Picked Billy Kilmer off 3 times, and Larry Zunker went over 149 yards rushing. At that time, the greatest monument in any sports history, you went 17-0. And I remember when Miami got back to the airport back in January, Don Shula said, this is what it's all about. Glory. 17-0. But it didn't stop there. This same Dolphin team repeated the following year and dominated a Minnesota Vikings team that was led by Fran Tarkenton and another dog, the University of Georgia. Man, Georgia's, man, on the videos I got today, they got it going on. And they had Chuck Foreman out of the University of Miami. And that Dolphins team, Larry Zunker was the most valuable player. He had over 166 yards rushing. But when you look at overall from 1970 to 1974, this Miami team did it the right way. Didn't have a lot of people that did any talking. Bob Griese, out of that engineering school, 60 miles west of Chicago, West Lafayette, was steady. Larry Zunker, steady. Mercury Morris, steady. The receiving position, Paul Warfield, Marlon Briscoe, Otto Stone, Howard Twilley, solid. Everything about this football team, when you look at it from a hindsight, everyone sacrificed for each other. And Don Shula was the right coach for the situation. Man, it's never, ever going to be a team, seemingly in my lifetime, that's going to go undefeated in the National Football League based on the parity. So, when I think about the Miami Dolphins, I think about one thing. I think about the Dolphins are the ones that another one bite the dust. Another one bite the dust. Hey, hey, another one bite the dust. They rolled in 72, baby, 17-0, and came right back and repeated in 73. Kudos to Don Shula and the Miami Dolphins from 1970 to 1974. Outstanding football team. And it was really unbelievable that they wasn't really honored till 2013 by President Obama when he invited all the still living members to come up to the White House. That was a very special moment. People, if you're a true football fan, I'm going to tell you this. Man, you better realize that this was a special football team, and what they've done, give them kudos and give them history, man. We talk about Tom Brady, no doubt about it. We talk about Joe Montana, no doubt about it. But, man, it's like Mercury Mars always said, the champagne is still flowing, baby. And we still undefeated, 17-0. So if you like the video today, please come in and share it. And before I end it, I want to give kudos to the guy that's making it happen this morning, my producer, the youngest member of 100 Yards of Football, Mr. Logan Landis, Douglasville, Georgia, Alexander High School, and West Georgia graduate. He's coming, one of the special talents in the media game. Thank you, man, and y'all be blessed. Enjoy the Miami Dolphins special history video today. I'm Vincent Turner.